was your first reptile?
So my first reptile was actually in a knoll. I got it in Florida. And this was before like airport security was like super high, and I ended up like putting him in a little butterfly like catcher, like a little bug container, and I brought
Okay,
him back
okay.
home, and I had him for like a little bit. I think I had him like a few years, and then my parents were like, no more. I had amphibians, so I had some frogs that I caught outside and would sneak into the house until they told me I had to get rid of it. But my first snake, I was actually laughing because this question made me think about it. My first snake was an Irangia carpet python. Um,
Oh, really?
and her name was Iris. Not Iris. Oh my gosh. Her name was Kira, and she was a 7 foot Irangia carpet python that came into Pet World, and was super nasty. So I just
Hmm.
started working with her, and I ended up buying her eventually, and I had her for quite a few years until my parents again found out and kicked the animal out. But
So how was your
yeah,
temperament after a while? Did she calm down? Was she still kind of mean or?
yeah, she was super cool. I loved her. Like, I know I don't do this now, but I used to take her a lot of places, and she would go for car rides, and she would like sit in her little like rock hide and like rest her head on the window. Like, I would never do any of this now, but when I was 16 years old, that was the
Hmm.
thing I was doing, and I loved her. She was a really great snake, and she made me less fearful of some of those bigger pythons and stuff, because
Okay.
they get a bad rap sometimes, and especially when I worked at like a Pet World, like any of those like chain pet stores, people come in and they have horror stories of like keeping snakes and stuff. So kind of just like when you're new in the hobby, it kind of can make you a little nervous like working with those animals.
Very true.
But I've learned it's just learning the behavior of the animal. I mean, not like a specific set like genus or species, like the behavior is same all around. Like, yes, snakes do act a little different according to like each individual snake, but
Hmm.
majority of the time they kind of all act the same. And I think people just, once you learn that behavior and how they work, it's just such a fluid motion.
Yeah, it's definitely learning your animal's movements, learning when they don't want to be touched, learning when they are okay with being touched. It You actually have to take that time with that animal and watch how they move, how they there's certain signs you have to look for. The way they s up, the way they push you, they will push away from you if they don't want to be bothered. Those are the
Yes.
subtle signs that sometimes people don't pick up, and that's when you see people get bit, or the animals which they claim is attacking, which is they're defending themselves at that point.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be bothered. They gave you signs that they didn't want to be bothered, and you ignored those. So their ultimate result was that, oh, well, I have to bite you now, so you can get really understand. Leave me alone. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's very important to pay attention to your animals. Um, I can't stress that enough. This is, but you put
It is.
you.
They
It's
teach you the worst lessons too, because like when you think you're like feeling yourself too much and you're like,
yep.
yeah, like I can control this, that's when you get bit and that's when you slip up. And they're always humbling moments. I always say, like working with my animals, especially like
Very
my
true.
indigo snakes. Um, they are like the closest, I swear, to working with venomous, but not having venom, because they're just very attitude based,
Mhm.
territorial, and you have to know the individual snake and like their behavior, like especially during breeding season. It's very important to know your individual animals.
Mhm. Very true. Very true. That's why I can't do venomous because I know I'm gonna mess up. I know I'm not paying attention all the time. So I need something that can bite me and I can survive it and not have to go to a doctor and not have to get a shot and not have
This is why
swelling.
tarantulas are great. They pack venom, but it's not going to put you in the hospital.
I was about to ask. I was tarantula. I was about to ask. I know some of them are venomous. I just not. They're not super potent. So that I do want one. I do, but I'm doing a little more research. That's definitely important.
I
Well,
mean, you
side
tell me
note.
when you're ready, and a pig toe might show up on your door.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Oh, I'm little. See, this is how I know I might be a little bit scared of them because I'm like I'm clapping my hands a lot. We're just talking about it, so that's not a good sign. So I got to get more familiar with them, learn more about them. 'Cause that's what happened with snakes. I was not scared of snakes, but it was an animal I never had before. So I
Okay.
had a lot of questions about it, and once I did research and start learning about them, that feeling of uneasiness towards them started to dissipate, and I started to be more excited about learning about them and learning their behaviors and learning what they need and how to take care of them. It changed my perception of those animals. So maybe me learning more about tarantulas will start changing my perceptions of them as well.
That's what I think so awesome is exposure therapy. It's kind of like reverse too because we have to like expose these animals and get them used to us over time while we're still getting used to them and their behavior
True.
for the time.
That is true. That is true. And animals have such amazing healing properties too that we don't often talk about. Like they are very, they keep you relaxed. They help you deal with stuff, deal with the stress that you're already going through. They can be very therapeutic. I can't say that word. They can help
Therapeutic
you. There
in
you go.
lots of ways, yes. I call snakes weighted blankets.
I like that. I like. We gotta start get that trending. I like that.